All right. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday. As we are settling and having people join, we're going to go ahead and check in and drop in the chat what you are looking forward to most with this upcoming weekend. I want to also just thank everybody for joining us in the iCCaRE screening room today. And I'm very excited to welcome everyone into this session. We will be viewing 2 episodes of CAPCAS, which is a series that highlights real voices, real experiences, as well as real conversations from the community. All right. I know with me, I'm looking forward to just catching up on some rest, cleaning up the house a little bit, and just relaxing. Let's see. All right. So let's go ahead and segue into the first episode of CAPCAS. And this first episode, it focuses on brotherhood and belonging. It's a very powerful conversation that highlights something very important. That connection and support can show up in various ways. However, it does play a major role in how people can move throughout the world and see and view themselves. Now we're going to go ahead and get into this first episode with Bishop Johnson as the host. So I will go ahead and drop down and we will get into the first episode.
Stokes. I'm the senior pastor of the New Beginning Christian Worship Center, and I am a prostate cancer survivor.
And I'm Dr. Irving Robinson, a retired physician who is a prostate cancer advocate, and we'd like to welcome you to our podcast.
Have you experienced the healing power of brotherhood through military service, church, or support groups?
I have absolutely gained strength and through connection. I think some of the best relationships that I've built have come out of the military. There's a group of fellows that I served in the military that if you were to look at us back then, We would be called the crew that's going nowhere. Because listen, our whole entire being was just running around. But now to still have those relationships, and one's a superintendent of a school, one is a retired fire chief, and here I am, a bishop in the Lord's church, and wouldn't have saw that back in the 80s and the 90s. But it was those connections. It was building those friendships. It was even today that has helped me be able to connect with other brothers, and just to be able to have that connection. And I absolutely would say that that is the key, and what's missing in our community is building those connections, and that mentoring the next brother, that next generation that's coming up. And I always believe that we got to get past that my four and no more, that I'm just concerned with my sphere. And I think that that's where we got to start to move toward.
And I didn't have the opportunity to be in the military. I have. Well, what did they tell me on the exam? Do you know your left eye is so bad that if something happened to your right eye and you were on the battlefield, yeah, you wouldn't make it. So we can't let you in. So I didn't have that opportunity. But even going back further than the military experience, when we talk about a group of men, most of us were engaged in athletics and sports. And one of the rules in my household, I have 4 sons, and you had to play on a team of some kind to learn what that experience of associating with teammates and one depending on the other and one helping the other was going to be about. And I laid that rule down, and my son's kidding me about that to the day, because I told him, I don't care if it was pick up sticks or tiddlywinks, you needed a team experience, and it will benefit you in the long run. So I can certainly say that has been helpful, and it gets you used to communicating and sharing and talking, and sometimes it makes me wonder how we begin to separate and isolate out after you had an experience like that, to become more withholding of not being able to share. And I guess it makes us focus on the things that we've talked about in the past about men being more private than when they're compared to what women do, who are more open with discussing things.
I think one of the things as you were talking that came to me is that, the value of being on a team, or being is that sense of also accountability.
Yeah.
You're not just accountable to yourselves, you're accountable to someone else. And knowing that what you do is going to be connected with someone else.
Yeah.
My son, he loved playing football, but my theory was class before grass. I don't care how great you were, class was academics
Yes,
was
indeed.
key. And I remember he had gotten in trouble, nothing bad, but he had gotten in trouble enough that, hey, you're not playing Saturday. So I took him to the game, and he had his pads on, and he had his pants on, but they hadn't put. And so I went and sat in the stands, and he went to go over. I was like, "Oh no, you're sitting here beside me." And he said, "What? No, you're sitting here beside me." And the entire game, he played safety, and the corner that with the safety that was back was getting smoked all day. Oh man, he's getting burned. And they would come to the sideline, and they would look up at the stands at him. And I said, "But see, because you were not accountable to yourself, you put them in a position that you can't play. And they're looking to you to help them,
Yeah.
and you can't help them. Somebody's always depending on you. Someone is depending someone is depending on us. And so we've got to we've got to make sure that we are being that example or giving them the information to be successful.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. My daughter-in-law posted on Facebook yesterday. My grandson, who was a key running back on their football team, had to sit next to her because he wasn't getting his work in on
Class
time.
before grass. Yeah.
And that class before grass was very important. And it sends a message that they will never forget, and teaching them what responsibility is all about, and what teamwork is all about. And as we advocate, we're hoping that our communication skills and our communication opportunities would do that, as far as reaching out to men who are going through this journey of prostate cancer. And I think that's really important. It's even when you think about the groups that have been set up for therapy or post-therapy, where men can come together and share their experiences, share their stories, talk about their journey along the treatment trail. You may not realize how helpful your input could be to that group of men who are sitting around thinking that we mentioned in other podcasts about the isolation that's only happening to me. Nobody else is going through this but me. To let you see how much you have in common along this treatment pathway when we talk about prostate cancer. So it's important to be able to communicate. Again, that word comes up every time that we meet. I'm sure communication is going to be a key word in what we exchange.
What do you think happens when someone doesn't have a support network?
That pushes them into that
Isolation.
isolation, and probably kicks in that we talked about mental health on this podcast before, the importance of your mindset as you approach this disease. And I don't think anybody wants to think they're the only one who's at the stage that they may be in, that no one else has experienced that. So I think it's important that coming together and sharing those experiences can happen. And I know that the organizations are out there, but if they weren't out there, one of the best things you can do is to create it so that you can share your experience.
And I think that I would agree with you that it leads to that isolation. And when you isolate yourself from others, leads to depression, and it creates other avenues that ultimately I think can create a spiraling effect. And so it is important in engagement. You know, engagement, getting involved, but also knowing what resources is out there. Sometimes there's not enough. I may be interested, but I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of the things that I think that in every urology office, there ought to be information with some resources that directs them to a group of men, not just a men's group, but an African American men's group, because my experience is going to be different than the next person experience. And so developing that network of men that's I'm comfortable enough to talk about my experience, and I want to help you. Again, it's that storm approach. You're going in, I came out. You're in the middle, I'm coming out, because it's always the goal is that you go into you go through the treatment, you're doing radiation, you're doing chemo. Every day, my motivation became as much as I hate it, I walk by that bell every day. And on my way out, I would say to the bell, literally, I'm coming for you.
Ring
I'm
that
coming
bell.
for you. My goal, I said, when I ring it, I'm going to tear this thing off the wall. But then it became that if I tore it off the wall, then the person behind me doesn't have a bell to ring. And so that's the thing, is that creating that avenue for them to be able to ring that bell, whatever that bell, because the bells symbolize victory.
What are the best practices for building strong, inclusive support groups for men?
Here's that C word again: communication, engagement, honesty, fact, being faithful with it, being attentive to it, and being teachable while you're in it.
And when you sum all that up, you've created an atmosphere that's going to be beneficial for somebody else who will hopefully be within that circle or in that group so that you can share and exchange experiences and help pull the person at the beginning of that storm through the storm to come out in the end and feel connected. And I think that's another word that's helpful, to know that I am connected to a group of men with similar backgrounds like me who've been through the same things that I've been through, and that we can support each other and continually help other people, other men, to get through this step.
And I think that, because we've talked about that connection, we talked about the communication, and also, having that medical piece that's there, and to provide the statistics and provide the data and to tell you about the groups, the medical trials that are out there. But I think that before you get there, that they have to have that connection, because I'm going to listen to my brother experience. I'm going to listen to the doctor, but I also want to hear somebody tell me something, that you've been there. I was a substance abuse counselor, and I remember in my first group setting, I'm sitting there with the counselor who is kind of now my mentor through the process. And the first thing that one of the group members asked, "Well, have you ever done this?" And she goes, "Don't answer that." And I said, "No." I answered it, and I talked about my experiences. Well, she was not happy. As soon as the group was over, I got called to my director's office, and you just violated this thing. That's not what we do. But the next day, we had people coming up to the window asking, "Could I change groups?
Yeah.
I want to be in Mr. Stokes' group." Because you're telling me about what the book says. The book is good, but I want to know about life experience. I want to know about, tell me how you got out of this. Tell me how you put this down, but what did you pick up in its place? And I think that that's the piece, is that when we talk about those sharing experiences, is having them, but also having that conversation with a Dr. Robinson, having that conversation with a Bishop Stokes, or having that conversation with Paul the plumber. Doesn't matter who it is, it's just having that life experience that I came out of this.
Yeah.
How can listeners reach out to someone who might be feeling isolated?
I think that there's help everywhere. But again, it goes back to that resources. What we're doing now. You never know that throughout this conversation, who was intrigued by it. Man, I needed to hear that. How do I follow up? Dr. Robinson said something that I like that. Now Dr. Robertson becomes not just a voice, but he becomes a trusted voice. There are many voices that are out there, but they're not trusted voices.
That's true.
And so Dr. Robertson now, as he shares, he becomes a trusted voice. Bishop Stokes, as he shares, now becomes a trusted voice. And the Bible talks about the sheep follow. Why? Because they know my voice. And another they will not follow. Why? Is because it's a trusted voice. I trust the voice, so I'm going to lead where the voice says go.
And I think the this podcast opportunity will make contacting us, if people choose to, make that an availability, uh, and you could talk to us directly too if all of the questions you have not been answered through the podcast and through our conversations. Um, and I'm sure we'd be open to that too.
You know,
So,
and I think that as this podcast evolves and as these conversations evolve, um, talking about relationships in the midst of prostate cancer, surviving, not just you surviving the treatment plan, but your relationship surviving that diagnosis as well. So I'm excited about these opportunities because it just creates more opportunity to educate, um, and for us to become to extend our lifetime, um, to serve.
How can we be present with others without rushing to fix their pain?
hmm, that's an interesting question.
Because I think one of the problems is that our first instinct, our first reaction is, how can I fix it? I tell my congregation that sometimes God is not trying to fix your situation; He's trying to fix you. Because if He fixes you, you'll fix the situation. That's what we always want. God, I need you to change this. No, I'm not trying to change this. I'm trying to change you. I change you, you change the situation. I fix you, you fix the situation. So it's like that word issue. You know, you say it fast enough, you turn to find out that the real issue is you. And so I think it's that looking internal as we look external.
And having the ability to be a listener and to encourage our contact with people to get away from the the fast food mentality. This is going to happen because
Overnight.
you're sitting here with me. It's going to happen in a few minutes. It's going to happen overnight. Um, but the engagement allows us to be patient. And I'm going to be patient as I listen to what you bring. And hopefully you're going to be as patient to listen to what I bring. And then we're going to come together on common ground and find a solution that's going to benefit both of us, really.
What's one small way to create a sense of belonging in your circle or congregation? And this is the last question. So one small way to create a sense of belonging in your circle or congregation, or maybe something additionally that you can do.
Well, one thing, the most important thing is to show how much we have in common. Because I am the mentor and you're the mentee, it doesn't mean that we don't have a closer relationship than that. The mentor-mentee is just sharing experience or exchanging a level of information. but our commonness, our sameness is important to stress too when we deal with the circle of that community. That we're all in it together. We're more similar, in fact, than you may think. Our backgrounds are similar, and we want to help each other deal with this crisis so that we both can come out, like the bishop says, getting through the storm to being out of the storm. And we can do that together by knowing how much we have in common and our sameness, we'll put it that way.
I think that going back and being that trusted voice, also realizing that we don't know we don't have all the answers, because that we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
Shared experiences don't always, shared situations doesn't necessarily equate the same experiences, because you can go through something, I go through something, but we come out of with different experiences.
Yeah.
But knowing that I'm sitting in this place because I want you to be better, sitting in this place because I want to see us come out of this stronger. I think that those are the things that creates that safe place, that creates that better place for us. And I go back to that word being, that communicating is it is the key to everything. And being able to know that if I have a question, that there's some place that I can go and answer it. If I'm experiencing this moment of downness, that there is some place that I can go. Now, when you call most offices, they'll tell you that if you are experiencing a medical emergency, hang up and call 911. Don't just sit here and hold on, because listen, 9 times out of 10, they're getting ready to send you to about 8 places before you talk to someone. But when you pick up that phone and you know that you have a problem, call this person. Call someone. The worst thing is that when you suffer in silence. We have, I read this book, and I think it's called Crowded Pews, but Suffering People. The thing that I always tell you never know what your neighbor is going through. We sit in congregation, we'll sit in service and say, talk to your neighbor, tell your neighbor this. Last Sunday, we had this experience with the power of a hug. Just turning to that person and just giving them a hug. And in that hug, you discovered the brokenness that we shared. Sometimes it's the simple things. And I think that going back and seeing that brother and, pounding him up, saying, brother, I understand. You're gonna make it. That sometimes finding that young brother and telling, man, I believe in you. I see where you are today, but today this is just your launching pad. I see you better. It's the power of words. It's easier to walk up to someone and gain their attention and get that connection than just walking up and telling you as a preacher, man, you better give your life to God. You're going to hell. No, that's not but if I go and I'm dapping up, what's going on, brother? How you doing? I'm meeting them where they are with the purpose of leaving them better than they were.
Someone brought that to my attention years ago, because they asked a question, how come you black guys always dapping and touching? And someone that was listening to the conversation said, because we're a loving people. communicate to each other with that dap or that hug. We got to touch,
Powerful connection.
and in church they say touch and agree. So it just helps to bring us closer together and show our oneness. That there's not that much difference. So it's important.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Always good to share the moment with you. And thank you for joining us for the bishop,
And
the doctor.
All right, so that was the episode of Capcast featuring the bishop and the doctor. I hope that you enjoyed that powerful discussion. And on a quick note, before we continue with episode 2 of Capcast, there was a technical mix-up with the StreamYard link from earlier. So if you did have any trouble accessing it, I do want to apologize for any of the confusion. I'm glad that everything looks like it's all good now. So just want to thank everybody that was having some issues. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, the episode that we just watched, it was a very powerful conversation about brotherhood and belonging. It also highlights something that's super important. That connection as well as support can show up in different ways, but it also plays a major role in how people move the world and how they see themselves. So, with that being said, we are going to shift gears into our second episode, which explores the theme of family. And as you watch this episode, I want you to think about not just what family means, but also what it can look like beyond the traditional definition of family. And we'll have a little discussion afterwards if we have some time. So let's get into this second episode.
Welcome, bonjour. They want me to do another language, so hey, that's the best I can do for right now. Welcome to another awesome opportunity and segment with iCCaRE, where we're going to be talking about family particularly, and how does family play into effect when you're diagnosed with prostate cancer. With us is Dr. Robertson, who can share us firsthand being on both sides as a doctor and then also being diagnosed himself and overcoming that to where he is still alive and kicking with us today. So without further ado, welcome to the space.
Thank you for having me again.
Hey, as always, we are glad. The door is always open. Just come in. Don't have to knock. Just open it up. We'll make sure we have the table and chair for you.
Okay.
Let's talk about, and we hear it a lot, when one man gets cancer, the whole family feels it. How do you feel about that, and how has it affected you?
Well, it's a very true statement, because I think in the past we've talked about the fact that the diagnosis of cancer was considered a terminal illness, that you were going to die. And if you have family, you certainly have to realign your thought process to how is my situation going to affect everybody else. So as a man, you're considered the leader, the breadwinner. You have to definitely think about what's going to happen to my family if I'm not here. That makes you think about the preparation that you've made to take care of your absence, if indeed you should succumb to this disease. It also makes you think about, what if I need more intensive care? Can my family provide that for me? Do they have to provide a place for me to go, like hospice or extended care? So it brings up a lot of situational thought that you may not have really considered before. And in fact, it makes you think about the preparations that you need, even if this isn't a part of your profile. So one should think about how important family is, because you shouldn't be on this journey of having a cancer diagnosis and have no support of any kind. Of course, there are people who are in that situation, but if indeed you do have family, it's important to now think about the steps you're going to take to even break this news. In my case, I have 4 sons, 1 daughter. Um, I had to think about how am I going to present this new diagnosis and what it may mean to them. Um, my wife was the first person um, to have a sit-down conversation with. Um, and then I thought about the kids and their families. I'm fortunate in my approach to that because my daughter is a physician too, so she was the first thought that came to mind. So to talk to her, I knew that she would talk to everybody else in a way that they would be able to understand it, and we could talk about the intensity of my position in a way that she would understand to make it easier. My wife's a nurse, so that was easy too. But everybody doesn't have
No.
those medical connections as far as presenting the diagnosis to the family. But it's important to present your situation diagnosis-wise to your family. So it makes you think about how you're going to do that. And for those of you who are disease-free, who have families and never thought about what would happen if I got a diagnosis I had to present to my family now, perhaps this conversation will help you think about how you're going to do that.
How did your family handle privacy during this time, and also still independence for you? Because, like you said, as men, sometimes we like our privacy and we don't need help with everything. We know there's certain things we still would like to do ourselves, but how did your family handle those
Again,
things?
I have a situation that may not be too uncommon in that genetically this disease of prostate cancer had a generational effect within my family. So one other thing that my family did and that we included healthcare into was our family reunions. So through me, we talk about the diseases that we know about that exist in our family. So that it allows you to preconceive what if the diagnosis should come to a family member, how are we going to handle that, what should we do, what the prospects for survival is. So I was fortunate in one respect to be educated in a way where we could deal with that. But the blowback to that was the educational opportunity it gave me. So we have breast cancer within the family, and you can point to a person going back 4 generations that had it. We have prostate cancer in the family, and point at least 3 generations back that had it. So talking about diseases that are pretty significant was easy for us because that was a part of our family reunion day or week, depending on the time of year that we had it. We spent more time together. So we definitely talked about disease. And I emphasize that because I remember when I was young and the family talked about serious issues, I had to leave the room.
Yes.
You had to get up and go somewhere else.
Okay, they say go in the bag or go outside to play.
Anywhere you want to go, you got to get out
Out
of
of
here.
here.
Yeah, because we're talking serious. We're
Yes.
talking grown folks talk. That's
Yes.
what they used to call it. But we didn't know about the connection, the genetic connection to disease that made family history so important as it is now. So I seized that opportunity to make sure that we always talked about breast cancer, prostate cancer, even before the diagnoses were made.
Were you scared or nervous on how your family would treat you after they found out your diagnosis? Because sometimes when we share important things with our family looks at us differently. They don't look at you as the same Dr. Robinson, look at you. Oh, you're the Dr. Robinson who had this. You're the Dr. Robinson who had that. Or they may treat you more fragile. Oh, I got this. You don't have to worry about this. Or they always want to bring up the D word death and always look at it from mindset. Oh, I got to do this now because I don't know when I ever see you again. So were you ever scared or nervous of that
No,
perception?
again, the specialness of our disease situation, going back 4 generations,
Wow.
eliminated that.
Okay.
We knew not to take care of the problem is going to lead to death, but we also knew from those who died what was important to consider in case death was going to be a part of the history. So all of the questions that could have come up and all of the attitudes that could have come up have been handled in the past. We just addressed them in today's time frame as opposed to talking about how we lost this member that succumbed to the disease in the past.
So how did y'all handle it in the past than now?
In the past, from what we could gather from talking to our elders, was that they didn't have a clue about everything that they could do or should do.
Okay.
So education-wise and being brought up to where we are time frame, that has changed. 'Cause now all the females, all my nieces know what to do about breast cancer. All my nieces know about the signs of breast cancer. All my nieces know about the presence of the BRCA1, BRCA2 gene as far as that's concerned. So their mental process is a lot different. And they think about whoever gets ill from this particular disease is going to be here because they're going to take care of it to the extent that they'll be here.
How did y'all family overcome? Because when I hear the word all, I just think about family trees and how people have 20, 30, until, everybody's a cousin at some point in time. So when you say all, and I think of time, how did y'all family overcome the appearance of, you need to get your check, thank you, thank you. I got 2 more years. I'll worry about that later. How did y'all overcome that from a family perspective, that barrier of time and sharing it with them?
Well, the educational process helped in that everybody was aware that the earlier you approached dealing with this, the better the outcome was going to be. And then by reference, we could refer to Aunt Alice, who didn't have the information that we had.
Okay.
And discovering late in the course of the disease, she didn't have much opportunity to have it dealt with either. Okay, but then again, that was then, and we're in a different time frame. So it was easy because we addressed it so often, and that's on a yearly basis. Excuse me, when we had family reunion. So it wasn't that difficult, and individual families that came would share that information amongst themselves, and we also had that connection that made all of us in the same boat genetically. So it made it easier. And I understand that a lot of families not that close knit. A lot of families are not that educated. A lot of families don't even have family reunion, which makes it a little different for when you talk about my family.
How did your family, because you said like Aunt Alice, she did not have those resources. And sometimes that is hurtful because the reason why a person didn't have those resources was because of community and the lack thereof. How did your family overcome the lack thereof due to stereotypes, due to things that were just outside of our control? How did your family deal with those things to make sure that, again, this doesn't happen to me, but more importantly, as our family continues to grow and people get married and their family, comes in, how did y'all overcome from a community point of view overcome that barrier of lack of resources that affected previous generations?
Well, there was a big difference in the access to those resources. Most of the family moved from rural areas
Okay.
to urban areas,
Okay.
which made access to healthcare a lot easier. Fortunately, most of the family received a little education, so they had jobs that allowed for affordability. They had jobs that had health insurance. So the gamut of difficulties decreased over time from the past coming to the present time frame. So we didn't have to work that hard, if you understand what I mean.
Okay. Okay.
And that was just based on the circumstances and the good fortune that was within our particular family.
And you brought up a good point. Like I said, you've been blessed to, you have the education in your family. Y'all saw the importance and y'all build upon that. And I think so many times we deal with life.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, sometimes I wish I was the Huxtable. I wish I was that Theo, the Huxtables and everybody just, the Mondler and everybody. But that's not the case.
Yeah.
So we have to find resources and people have to share with us. And so what is something that you wish more families, especially our families, Black families, African American families, knew about caregiving for someone with cancer or diagnosed with cancer?
First, to know that it's not going to be easy. And second, to know that it will be beneficial if it can be a shared experience. And for example, if you've got brothers and sisters and you're talking about father, mother, or senior person within the family, understand that it's almost impossible for that one sibling to do everything.
Yes.
So you have to come up with a way where that sibling that may still be in close proximity to the diseased person can get some respite, some breaks, that you really need to figure out a way that we're going to do this together as a sibling group, as opposed to depend on Mary or John because they're the oldest or the eldest and they can handle it. Well, no, they can't handle it if it's all an individual person doing everything. You have to share that responsibility. And it's easy to share amongst yourselves if you sit down and talk about how it can be done.
And that also limits family foolishness and drama, because when you're able to divide the work, now, big brother ain't mad at little brother because little brother get to do what they want to do while I'm the one that's doing everything else. Yeah. It helps communication, like you said, sharing the responsibility. We all get older. We all have to do and change of life. Good point.
And in most families, if you really sit and talk about it, you can plan a way that's going to be beneficial, so that no one person has to shoulder all of the burden that will come with that caregiving experience. So communication is key, and the willingness to share is important. But the basis for that, as far as our family is concerned, is the education about the diseases that's built into our genetics. So we know about breast cancer, we know about prostate cancer, and we've known about it from the small ages. We didn't put kids out of the room. We had a conversation that presented what we could look forward to genetically in a way that they could understand and know what to look forward to. And as you grow older, your education about it becomes more meaningful. If not, you've studied it in your educational pursuits yourself. So, like I said, our family was special in that regard. Two diseases that we know has shown up in four generations, and the future we know the possibility is going to show up in generations unborn.
Yes, yes.
So we had a special link, communication and education link that a lot of families don't have. But I push and suggest that you create those opportunities within families, which means you got to talk to each other, uh, and you have to understand that disease happens in life, and what you're going to do about it is what's important, not the fact that you hope this disease doesn't strike. Well, it will in some way, shape, or form.
How does your family bring, oh gosh, I want to say light, but how does your family bring awareness in a way that's not, okay, guys, for family reunion, go to ballroom A and have the diagram, and now you put on your lap coat. Like, but but how does your family make it a conversation that needs to be had, but one that's enlightening, one that's encouraging, one that's uplifting?
Well, the other special thing is the healthcare worker base that's in the family, from physicians to nurses, um, makes it easier because whenever there was a medical problem that arose, those are the people that got called anyway. So now the platform of the family situation, where all of us are gathered in this room to talk about, is anybody behind on their physician visits related to what we've been talking about as a family for ages, and that comes out. You find out who's due to have an exam, and you find out who didn't go when they should have gone, and you can rehash what the implications for that lack of being interested in yourself by history is going to do. So it was unique, but we weren't too big so that we had to get 3 meeting rooms.
Okay, not yet, right?
We had all fit in one meeting room.
Yes.
And we had stories of family members that everybody but the new kids knew. New kids knew what the pictures of those people looked like. So when they were brought up, they had a mental image of who the talk was about. And those who were newer could say, oh, that's what happened to whoever that member was. Whereas those of us who were older, who had a personal experience with that person, could tell the story in a different way. It had more meaning because we lived with that person, or we learned from that person. So it had a more personal aspect for us. But we're passing it down like the Africans, the griot and the storytellers in the village. And in our family is extremely important. Why? Because the process of disease hasn't changed.
Preserving.
Hasn't changed.
Yes, preserving that history.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there just because we are getting a little bit close to time. So I just want to thank everybody so much for spending their afternoon with us today in the iCCaRE screening room. Today we explored 2 meaningful themes: brotherhood and belonging, as well as family. And I hope that those conversations gave you space to reflect on your own experiences and perspectives. One of my personal biggest takeaways from today is that connection does matter. Whether it's through family or friends or community, the relationship that we build does play a huge role in who we become and how we continue to navigate life. So before we do wrap up, Feel free to drop any of your takeaways or opinions or final thoughts in the chat about any of the episodes that we watched today. We would love to hear what stood out to you. And if not, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your Friday and have an amazing beginning of the weekend. And thank you again for being here. And we also hope to see you at the next iCCaRE screening session. So let's see if we have some questions. Okay, so it says, very educative, inspiring, and engaging. Hopefully, we'll create and open a screening room. Oh my goodness, I would love that. I think that's a great idea to have a screening room over in Nigeria to see what goes on over there for CapTC. I think that would be amazing. We should definitely get to that. And this is so real, engaging, and my head is spinning. We have to do better in our environment. Absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. Agreed. Amazing panel. I also agree. I think all of the iCCaRE sites should have their own screening room for sure. For sure. I would be very intrigued to see what they do there. All right. So it looks like I don't think we have any more comments or questions. So we will go ahead and wrap this up here. Again, I do want to apologize for the technical difficulties and mix up with the StreamYard rooms. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. The full episodes of both CapCasts will be uploaded to our YouTube channel today. I know we didn't get a chance to finish that second episode, or if you just want to look back on the first episode. So until then, we will see you next time on the iCCaRE screening room. Bye.